How do food trucks manage financial records, and how do you manage finances for your food truck business? Well, in this video, I'm going to tell you exactly why you as a food truck owner need 3 different bank accounts. That's right. And I'm going to what they are, why you need to have them. We're going to do that right now. All right, welcome back to Marketing Food Online. It is Damian Roberti, and in this video, I'm going to actually give you some information. If you're a food truck owner, mobile food business owner, or a food entrepreneur, you're going to definitely want to pay attention to what I'm about to tell you, because these 3 bank accounts are going to be of necessity, and they're going to make sense when I tell you what they are and explain to you why you need them. If you're operating a food truck business, I know that it takes a lot to run a food business. I have been doing it for 13 plus years of my own, day to day, day in and day out. But having these accounts set up with different bank accounts is actually a hugely beneficial thing. Now, starting a food truck business, of course, like any small business, it involves managing finances carefully and strategically, and having multiple bank accounts can help streamline, believe it or not, streamline your financial operations and ensure compliance with your tax regulations and facilitate even a better financial management day to day. Okay? Now, here are the reasons why a food truck business will need 3 different bank accounts. Number 1, an operating account, as it's called. The purpose of this is the primary account, okay? For this is day-to-day operations of the food truck. It's used for receiving revenue from sales and, of course, paying out regular expenses such as ingredients, wages, maintenance for your food truck, fuel, etc. Okay? Now, Damian, what are the reasons why? So, separating the operating funds from other financial assets helps in tracking the profitability and the cash flow. Cash flow. That's the big keyword here. Cash flow of your food truck business. It simplifies bookkeeping and makes it easy for you to manage the budget and the operational costs day in and day out. Okay, that's number 1. That's the operating account. Number 2, this is probably the most important one, the tax account. You need to have a tax account. Your second bank account will be your tax account. The purpose is you want to separate an account dedicated to tax liabilities. This is crucial for setting aside money to pay for various taxes such as sales tax or payroll tax or even income tax. Okay? Now, Damian, what's the reason for having this though? Having a dedicated tax account ensures that your business is prepared for tax payments and is not caught off guard when taxes are. To be honest with you and transparent, this has happened to me a few times. When we first started our business, I did not have these 3 set up. And we actually had some taxes that were owed, and some of them were in the thousands upon thousands, and I didn't have the money, to be honest with you. So this is something that I truly, honestly recommend that you do, okay? Even if you have just 2 of these 3, let one of them be a tax account. This can actually help prevent potential legal issues and even penalties related to late or even insufficient tax payments. By automatically transferring a percentage of your each sale or a calculated monthly amount, okay, into this account, the business can actually avoid that common pitfall of spending money that should have been allocated for taxes. Okay. Number 3, savings and emergency fund account. This is something too that not only food truck entrepreneurs, to be honest with you, but anyone operating any food business, any business that for that matter, needs to have. Now, the purpose, this account is meant for savings and emergency funds. Now, it can be used for future in the business if you don't happen to be using or utilizing these funds from time to time, such as you could purchase a new equipment, expanding a fleet of trucks even, or as a financial cushion in case you have an unexpected event like an economic downturn or repairs are needed for your truck. So you're not running your food truck, so you're not making any money. So you need to have a little bit saved to help cushion some of those days. Damian, what's the reason for having this? Okay, so having a savings account allows a business to plan for growth and expansion while actually having a little bit of what's known as a safety net in place. Okay, it ensures your financial stability and provides peace of mind knowing that there are funds available in case of opportunities to invest to improve the business. Okay, now here's some additional things you might want to actually consider. Okay, legal and tax benefits. Okay, separating business finances from your personal financials is not just a good practice for management, it's also important for legal and tax reasons. Now, it makes it easier to demonstrate financial responsibility and compliance in case you actually get audited or something like that pops up. The next one, financial management and planning. Okay, multiple accounts can help in more accurate financial forecasting and budgeting, which are kind of crucial for long-term success of any business, including a food truck Okay, so having these 3 different bank accounts, guys, is really going to help for operating expenses and taxes and savings, or even emergency funds, can actually significantly help and manage the finances of your food truck business more effectively. It's going to actually ensure a little bit more financial discipline, and it aids in any legal or tax compliance things that pop up. So I just wanted to pop this video together. I had a question on this. It was quite some time ago. I hadn't had a chance to get to it, but having these accounts, these 3 different, will help you guys out. So if this was helpful, hey, give me a big thumbs up. I do appreciate it. Definitely want to check out these additional resources here. And if you're brand new to the channel, definitely hit the subscribe button. We have a lot of great resources for mobile food businesses and food trucks alike. And also check out our new YouTube channel called Food Truck, and that's actually F-R-E-E-K-S. Food Truck Freaks, F-R-E-E-K-S. That is our new one. We have about 10,000 food truck entrepreneurs subscribed already. You definitely want to go over there and hit the subscribe button. We have hundreds of more videos that are dedicated solely to food trucks. I'll see you on our next video. What equipment is required on a food truck? So in this video, I'm actually excited to bring you a list of specific food truck equipment that's required. Now, this is no matter what kind of cuisine, food, or sweets or baked goods or whatever it is that you're making. These are going to be pieces of equipment that are pretty much required across the board, and we're going to get into that list right now. All right, so welcome back to Marketing Food Online. It's Damian Roberti, founder and CEO of Marketing Food Online. In this video, as I mentioned in the introduction, we're gonna cover a handful of required equipment, not just random equipment that you need for your food truck, but these are pieces of equipment that are across the board gonna be necessary in order for you to get your inspections, get signed off, and then get your food truck up and running. But before we do, I want to thank our sponsor, ClickLease.com. If you're actually in the marketplace and you need a food truck equipment list filled, well, ClickLease.com will be the place that you want to go. So who is ClickLease? Well, they have approvals for $500 to $20,000 for food truck equipment. All credit scores are welcome at ClickLease. And also, one of the great features about it is that customers can pick their own lease term agreement. This is actually a monthly payment, and then whatever fits your budget best. They are very flexible in those monthly payments, so you definitely want to check them out. There's also no hard credit pull with ClickLease.com. And the one thing that's really amazing about ClickLease that I'm really excited to tell you about is that they have no time in business requirement. When I started my food business quite a few years ago, I can give you and attest to this, that nobody wanted to touch me unless I had 2 or 3 years minimum experience in the food industry. A lot of financing companies require a business to have a certain amount of years, and basically they won't even go near you. Well, they don't do that. ClickLease.com is a place to go to if you're looking to lease any type of food truck equipment that you need to get up and running. They're going to work very, very flexible with you and get you in some terms that best fit your budget, but more importantly, get you the money you need for the specific equipment to get your food truck business going. So definitely worth at least checking them out. Say go down in the description section, click on that link that we have set up, and then go to their website and see what they can actually do to help you get your food truck business up and running. The biggest expense, second to only a food truck itself, is the equipment purchase. So this is definitely something that's worth looking into, and I highly recommend you take a look at that. And of course, you can touch base with them, reach out to them if you've got questions, you're not very familiar with the process, if it's all new to you, and they'll definitely help you get you on the way. So let's dive into this list of required food truck equipment. All right, so number one, when you're starting your food truck business, you are going to need a 3-compartment sink. Now, they come in different sizes, they come in different shapes, and because every food truck is physically structured in different ways. Of course, that's easy to understand. You may have to figure out which one is best for you. They come in 3 compartments because that is specifically set up for a reason. Number one, the first part of your 3-compartment sink is for washing. The second one is for rinsing, and then the last one is for, the second one is for sanitizing, and then the last one is for rinsing. So that 3-compartment is actually set up for a process. And of course, your health department will tell you more specifically about that. So when you're washing and cleaning any of your utensils or any of the cookware, anything that you've got that has to be washed, rinsed, and sanitized, that is the whole method behind having a 3-compartment sink. Now, the next thing that you're going to need to have, and this is a must, and this is actually something that we have even in our commercial bakery and candy business, the Department of Agriculture required us to have a 3-compartment sink, a hand and a mop sink. Now, most food trucks won't necessarily have a requirement for the mop sink per se. Many times they'll have different types of sanitizing apparatuses and accessories that you'll have because it's configured differently on a food truck. But the hand washing sink is a requirement. That's going to be a separate sink that has nothing to do with the 3-compartment sink in order for you and your employees, of course, to wash and sanitize and clean their hands. And then, of course, some type of paper towel dispenser or something where they can dry their hands off as well. So number one is going to be that 3-compartment sink. Number two is going to be your hand washing sink. Next up, shelves for storage. So of course, no matter what kind of food product you're actually going to make or produce or sell, you've got to have shelves, right? You've got to have shelves for any type of small wares, any type of ingredients that may not need refrigeration or freezer, any type of pots and pans. If you're going to go that route, one little tip though, keep in mind that if you're utilizing shelving for some of your equipment, make sure that you have them secured. It's not something that's easy to do to drive around in a truck all day when you have a stainless steel shelf that's very slippery and has pots and pans, and you make a left or right turn, I can guarantee you they're going to be on the floor. So securing them safely on those shelves you got to make sure that you have them secured, because otherwise every time you go to an event, you're going to spend an hour picking up everything off the floor, which obviously you can't do that. So make sure that your shelving that you have is secured enough to keep all of the small wares and things that you've got in them not from going onto the floor. So next up, work tables and prep tables. Now again, these are a must and required because no matter what you make, if you're making gelato or if you're making hot dogs or tacos, you need to have some form of prep table. Now, depending upon the amount of space that you have, you need to check the marketplace. And by the way, I'll have a ton of links down below this video as well for all of these different types of pieces of equipment. So at least you can begin your search and your hunt for some of this equipment and find out where you can get it from. But you need to also have those prep tables. So depending upon, again, the space you have available, because if you have something that requires cooking and you have a gas grill or gas range, and those are really big units, even for food trucks, and you've got a 3-compartment sink, a hand wash sink, and maybe some refrigerators or freezers, your space begins to dwindle down. So make sure that you get the right size and the right fit for those type of prep tables. But no matter what you make, I guarantee you'll need to have some type of prep storage space on the top of those shelves as well. Next up is a boiler system. Now this is for hot and cold running water, okay? So if you've got any system set up where you've got to have fresh running water, which you will, and obviously in a food truck, it is an entire restaurant's kitchen inside of your truck. You've got to have hot and cold boiling water. So those boiler units you need to have and make sure that it's functioning properly. That's something that's where your 3-compartment sink and hand wash sink, all of that water that obviously comes up through there, you need to have that boiler system in place as well. Now, no matter what you make or sell too, you're going to pretty much need either a fridge or a freezer or a refrigerator freezer unit. Now, in some cases, these can be together in a much smaller size and apparatus, But if you've got ingredients that need to maintain their temperature and be frozen, if you need something that needs to be refrigerated before you use it and tap into it, if it's an ingredient, a refrigerator and freezer is a must. So definitely take a look at that. And of course, depending on the size and how much of the volume of business you think you're going to do, the size of those units will be dependent upon that, okay? But the idea to have a fridge and a freezer is something that is definitely a must. Now, the most important aspect of a food truck is to have power, obviously. So where do food trucks get their power from? They get it from generators. Now, these types of generators can be powered, though, in a multitude of different ways. And I actually did a little research. There was a friend of ours who contacted us that actually transitioned his food truck to solar power panels, which was quite interesting. He lives in a state that's actually quite inundated with sun, but he uses solar panels, and it has actually worked quite well and saved him a lot of money. Up front, they're a little more expensive than getting a generator, but you can get a gas-powered generator, which is a must, or a propane generator. Now, the other thing is, of course, solar paneling. If you want to go that route, again, check down below in the descriptions. I've got a few links to help you get started with the search on that as well. We put a few links for different solar panel generated generators as well, which get their energy from that. So their food truck is very easy as far as when it comes to figuring out what type of energy you need. It's just depending on your budget and figuring out what works best. But you can definitely get a gas-powered generator or a propane or even a solar panel one. Now, those are required. Now, next up, let's talk about a little bit about some of the equipment that may or may not be needed. Now, when I mentioned earlier about the gas range, some may not actually need that. If you're an ice cream truck, or if you're doing baked goods, or if you're not doing anything that's requiring cooking, and you're allowed to prep on your food truck itself, a lot in certain cities and counties are required to do all of the prepping in a commissary or commercial kitchen prior to going out for the day for their business. Now, with that being said, you may or may not need a gas range if you're doing desserts or ice cream, or if your food truck is selling prepackaged food, which you can do as well. Those are items that you don't even make or even prepare on the food truck. So you may or may not need a gas range. The type of cooking pans and saucepans and things of that sort, those are also may be needed, but are not required based upon the type of cuisine. And let's dive a little bit more into it. You may also need, of course, your menu boards. Those are the boards that sit out in front of the food truck itself. You're gonna need obviously a water pump as well, which needs to tie into your boiler system so you can actually push the water up in from your water tanks in through the sinks and such for you to use it. And any other type of small wares that you would need to prepare your food, such as napkins, saucers, plates, or any type of utensils. Those are things also that are dependent upon the type of food that you're making. So going through the list of what is equipment required for a food truck, those first few things are mentioned before. Check out ClickLease. Definitely give them a try. Look down below for that link. They are able to get you up and running with those large purchases of food truck equipment, and that is what they do. They specialize specifically in doing those large equipment purchases. But remember, it is a lease, which is something that's great. It's not a loan. So definitely check them out, and then let us know what you think about any of the things that you've got in this video. If you have questions about it, give us a holler down below. Let us know. Give us a comment, and we'll definitely help you out as soon as possible. So we'll see you guys in our next video.
How do you calculate food cost for a food truck? And what is the average markup for food in a food truck? Welcome to Marketing Food Online. It's Damian Roberti, and we are going to dive into these 2 subscriber questions about food truck businesses. And it's one of the most critical points when you want to be successful and, of course, profitable and obviously keep your doors open, is trying to figure out what your food costs are for a food truck. And exactly, is there a specific type of average markup? We're going to dive into that right now. All right, so welcome back to Marketing Food Online. So in this video, as I mentioned in the introduction, I'm going to give our food truck subscribers, if you're looking to start a food truck business, or you're already in it and maybe you're just trying to figure out a better way to calculate your food cost and figure out an average markup for your food truck, we're going to go over a couple of different samples and examples, actually, to help you understand pricing methods. So there's actually 2 in particular that we're going to cover in this particular video. Food cost, percentage pricing, and factor pricing. So these are 2 ways that food truck owners typically use, one of the 2 actually following methods, to figure out how to price their food properly. Now, before we dive into explain how this works, and I'm even going to throw some graphics up here on the screen to help you understand this, you need to understand that this is food costs. This is actually not going to take into consideration your labor and other expenses that are either daily, weekly, or monthly for your food truck. This is specifically food cost, okay? So as I go through these examples, keep that in mind. There are a huge amount of variables, and some of these may be better for you. One or two of these may be better for you, or you might just create some flat fee that you wanted to charge based upon what's being charged within your neighborhood or your community or the city or county that you live in. If you have a menu that's similar to others, but one of the biggest expenses you need to understand is obviously the ingredients and at what pricing and what price point are you actually buying them from. Obviously, you get something for a lot less than some other competitor or some other food truck, you're going to be making bigger margins. That's just common sense. But when it comes to the pricing, what specific calculations and should you really be using? And what should you take into consideration? So I'm literally going to give you a handful of different price points too, as I trickle down and show you a little bit of how this works. Okay. So let's dive right into it. All right, so let's dive into the first one. That is food cost percentage pricing for food truck businesses. This is a method that a lot of food truck owners actually go by when they're trying to calculate it. So the food cost percentage pricing method is the most widely used method for a menu pricing standpoint, okay? So to determine the prices with this method, you would need to know the quote-unquote target food cost percentage. And then we're going to talk about the second one in a minute. And the actual food cost for each item. And then you create your formula from there. So how does the formula work, Damien? All right, so food costs divided by target food cost percentage, the percentage that you want to reach, equals your menu price, okay? Now, for an example, let's just break it down as far as one particular item on your menu. Let's say it was a hamburger. You have a hamburger on your menu with a cost of about $1.50. And that, again, meaning that the ingredients it takes to make the product, no other factors, by the way, just the ingredients, is $1.50. And your target food cost percentage, let's just throw one out there. The percentage is 35%. So the calculation of the item would be as follows. So you take $1.50 divided by 0.35, which is your percentage, and that equals $4.30. So in essence, your hamburger would retail for $4.30 based upon the actual ingredients. Again, like I said in the opening, you need to factor in obviously a few other things like your expenses, if you've got employees and other things like that. But this is based solely upon the food itself. So you can at least get a good foundation to understand $4.30 and up. We need to move from there. So that way you're going to get a percentage pricing, okay? That's the one of the two types, percentage pricing. Now let me give you a couple examples of different percentages. So if you're looking for a 40%, you would take your food costs at $1.50. Again, let's go back to the hamburger as an example. And your menu price would be around $3.75 on the minimum. 35% with a $1.50 cost, you'd be around $4.30. And I'll give you two more, and then we'll move on to the second pricing point. And if you wanted to do 25%, that as a specific margin that you want, 25% with your food cost around $1.50, your menu price would be around $6. And then lastly, 20%, and you want to do that as well at $1.50, again for the hamburger, you'd be around $7.50. Okay? So the equation is very, very simple, but if you wanted to do a pricing of your food truck menu as a percentage, then this would be the formula you'd want to work with. Okay? Now we're going to move on to the second type. All right, so we're going to get into the factor pricing for a food truck item or food truck menu, okay? Now, this method, let me explain to you how this works. The factor pricing method uses a factor, let's say 30%. That represents food cost percentage, okay? So to determine the price with this particular method, what you want to do is multiply the food cost by your pricing factor, okay? And I'll explain to you, and I'll throw up an example here on the screen in a second. To calculate the pricing factor and the menu price, you would need to target food cost percentage and the actual food cost for the item, okay? So basically how the formula would look like this. 100, you take 100, obviously 100 as a factor, 100 divided by the target food cost percentage would equal your pricing factor. So food cost X, let's say, pricing factor equals the menu price. All right, and as an example, let's do the hamburger again. So your target food cost percentage with a hamburger at $1.50 cost, right? As we did in our first example, 30%. So you divide 30 into 100 and you get 3.33 as your pricing factor. So if the food costs you, the hamburger, as an example, $1.50, then your factor is 3.33. So you end up basically taking $1.50 times 3.33, and that actually comes out to $5. So that would be the price point that you'd want to sell it to your customers at. Of course, like I said before, you got to factor in a couple other things like your hourly wages for your employees and any other expenses that are involved. This is solely based, again, on the pricing of the food. So the two types of factors that are most commonly used are the food cost percentage, and then you want to check out the factor pricing method, okay? And then from there, that'll give you a foundation if you want to move forward with all of the prices. And remember, keep in mind, your menu is going to be made up of a lot of different ingredients. Obviously, common sense tells you got to get them at the cheapest price, but you don't want to get cheap materials or cheap ingredients. You just want to get the best price. Keep that in mind too, because when it comes to the food, I can attest this for my own personal experience. Don't cut corners on the quality of the product. Just try to find the best price that you can and keep your standards as high as you can. Because the better quality food, next time you go to the exact same event, people are going to come back again and again. So you want to keep that in mind too. Now, other factors, like I mentioned, are operating expenses, any insurances that you have. Obviously, the cost of your propane, your gas, and all of the other materials to operate the vehicle, and then any employees that you're paying and such. So there's other factors, yes. But when it comes solely to the food itself, these two types of factoring processes will help you understand and create a great foundation for your food truck, okay? If you have any other tips on pricing food truck menu items, let us know, right? As we did in our first.
How can I make my food truck more profitable? You might be asking yourself if you're a food truck entrepreneur. Well, guess what? This whiteboard is going to get filled with 10 ways you can actually use your food truck to increase profitability. And I'm going to break down each one of them. And there might be a few of them on here that you may have never thought of. This is going to be some outside of the box thinking, and we're going to make your food truck even more profitable in this video. And we're going to get to that right now. All right, so we are back, and I'm going to get into actually the 11 ways that you can monetize your food truck. My fantastic drawing there. 11 different ways that you can use a food truck to make money other than simply driving it to a food truck park, fair, or festival, parking it, and selling product out of the window like a robot. This will help you make way more money. Now, will this take some extra work and effort on your part? Of course. Nothing happens for free and nothing happens without you working at it. But several of these, and as I'll explain, once you get them running, they will run themselves. So let's dive right into it. Of course, welcome to Marketing Food Online. It's Damian Roberti, founder and CEO of Marketing Food Online. This channel is dedicated to you, the food entrepreneur, and giving you some outside of the box thinking on how to create food businesses, food products, and basically develop your dream if it is all about food and making money with it. So let's dive right into it. Number one, merch. Now, if you might remember, if you've seen it on my channel, you've seen the other video I did a few years ago. I actually did a channel video about this. Merchandise, I was talking about merch. How to use a logo or some type of design for your food truck. If you've got a branded logo of some kind, you can tap into the market. Sorry about that. Tap into the market of merch. Now, how does this work, Damian? I've heard this before, but how do I set that up? Down below this video, I will have several links directly for the websites that I'm going to talk about on how to create merch. You actually upload your design or logo to these websites, and I'm not going to go through the whole list of them. There's quite a few of them, several of them that you can actually use. But you basically create a logo or a design or some type of branded look on your hats, on your hoodies, on your shirts, on your t-shirts, anything that you can wear, or even cell phone covers and mugs and all kinds of stuff, even posters, believe it or not. But you upload them on there, you create an account. So what happens is, as you send customers, and I'll get to that in a minute, from the website and the QR code, I'll explain how this works, is that the merch website itself will print and create and ship the product on your behalf. You get a portion of that money from the merch that is sold with your logo or your design. Now, if you don't have a logo or design, also, again, check down below the video. In the description section, I'll have a ton of links to Fiverr where you can actually get a design or a branded looking logo for your food truck, so you don't have to design one yourself. You can simply tell them what you're looking for, and the designer or graphic artist will create it for you. You simply take that then and upload that onto the sites and basically sell merch while you're at events or even while you're sleeping, because the website is running 24/7, 365 days of the year. That's one revenue source that you don't have to be doing really anything to, because they simply make the product and ship it to your customer. So, how do I increase my profitability on my food truck? That is number one. Number two, you want to head over and you want to get a packaged food of your product. Now, what does that mean, Damien? Well, packaged food products are like hot sauces. If you have a chicken wing truck and you have your own flavor of hot sauces, you know what? You should be bottling it. You need to have a co-packer, not you, because you are too busy running your food truck. Find a co-packer, which, by the way, again, I'll have a list and a link down below to our website for co-packers. You can have your hot sauce, barbecue sauce, salsa. If it happens to be a seasoning packet or seasoning mix, if you have a seasoned blend and it's a special one that you've created and you use that on your food truck, why are you not selling that? Anything that you're making that's unique, if it's a marinade, if any of that stuff can be bottled, packaged, and put out there to sell. Well, Damien, that sounds great, but I don't have time to operate an online business. Hold on, I'll explain how this works. First step is you create your product. You get a co-packer to make it. There are actually, believe it or not, hot sauce business, for instance, there's websites out there that already have the ability to co-pack your product and bottle it. Once you get it made, you can tap into a website like Amazon FBA. And if you're not familiar with how that works, it's very, very simple. It does take work to get it up and running. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to simplify the process, but it is simple when you understand how it works. Once you get the product made, it gets sent to Amazon's warehouse. Amazon FBA is a process where they will pull it from the shelf at their warehouse and ship it to your customer. So there is a very large amount of automation involved with this process, where you're not having to run a food truck, package your product, ship it to people. Yes, you do have to maintain inventory, check the daily sales, look at how your account's doing, and running a business too. It doesn't really completely run on autopilot, but this way does create another stream of revenue with your food truck and your hot sauce, your seasoned packet, your barbecue sauce, and so on. You get the idea. Whatever it is that you've created that's unique and it's a food product, why are you not selling that outside of the food truck? So that is another way for you to do this. So the other way is to, now if Amazon FBA is something that you don't want to get into, there are fulfillment centers. These are warehouses where you can take your product and ship it to them, or have the co-packer ship it to the warehouse. And you have a website or a store on eBay, a store on Etsy, a store on Walmart.com. And you could be selling your product and they do the fulfillment of it. All you need to do is maintain the daily operations as far as checking the inventory, getting the co-packer to produce more of the product for you, whatever it may be, to make sure that you get the fulfillment center refilled when they sell down. And then that is another way for your food truck business to make more money. Number three, create a website. Yes, a food truck, every food truck should have a website. You know why? Because number one, once you have a website and you've put content on there, you put some information about your business. You put some information about how your food truck started, maybe a little story behind it, maybe a couple of blog posts or articles on how you got started in the industry, or maybe you have some advice because you're a successful food truck entrepreneur and you want to share that with others. Guess what? You can monetize the traffic to your website. AdSense, which is set up by Google, will throw an advertising ads up on your website once you've developed and built out a website for it, and you generate money from AdSense alone. Right now, we have a website that generates nearly $1,000 a month. It's pretty much on autopilot just because the ads from people visiting our website, we get paid for that. That is another way that your food truck, if it's damiensfoodtruck.com, it doesn't matter. Create some content, put some information up there, and then that way you can monetize this and create another stream of income, which can generate a few $100s or a couple $1,000s a month because of your food truck. Number four, offer catering. You don't always have to take your truck and physically park it and make yourself stay at a location for 8 to 10 hours on a weekend, on a Saturday. There might be an opportunity to make even more money, and it's only a few hours, and it's not as many hours when you cater an event. It may be a smaller time frame, but you're still making money. Or if you're in a part of the country where maybe during winter or late fall, it's a little more difficult to have people come out because it might be snowy, or it might be bad weather, or it might be just really too cold and people don't go out too much, that's fine. Then that way you can advertise your catering business and do events year round. So you're utilizing and using that food truck 24/7, 365 days of the year. So if you haven't done catering before, that's okay. You can learn how to do it then. Because if you know how to prepare food and make it on your food truck, why can't you just prepare a huge quantity of it and bring it to someone's event and set it up? Catering. That's another way to use your food truck kind of in the off season or year round. Next up, number 5. Yes, YouTube. If you own, actually in my opinion, if you own any business, you need to be on YouTube. Why? There is a ton of video content you could be creating while you were at a food truck event. There is a ton of food truck information that you could be downloading even up to YouTube on how to do your certain recipes, maybe some behind the scene videos of how do you get prepped for the day, or an event. Once you get to the event, have someone videotape, have one of your crew members. You don't need to have a big camera, you can do it on a phone. All of my videos are made on my smartphone. You don't have to have a big set with lights and all that stuff. Videotape it and put it on YouTube. Why? Because you can monetize that. Once you reach the minimum of 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time, all those videos get monetized and you can make money. Trust me, I make pretty good money doing YouTube. I've got 6 channels total now. Yeah, 6 channels total. And we make a very good additional income with the YouTube revenue alone just from the ads. So why not videotape your events and videotape you and put it on YouTube, okay? Uploading those videos, people love watching food preparation, food service, and how you get started on your food truck business when you arrive there, getting all the setup, behind the scenes stuff. People are entertained by that. Why not have a YouTube channel? And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to set one up. Trust me, I'm not a rocket scientist. So YouTube and video. Number 6, a blog. Yes, you need to have a blog on the website. Back here, number 3. Why? Because again, monetizing your blog. And believe it or not, there's even some affiliate programs where you can add additional streams of revenue being associated with affiliate marketing. Yes, even with a food truck. If you've got products that you can combine with your product, if you're selling a product online, you can add links directly to your website to sell more of your product because of your blog. That's a way of monetizing it and making money that way. That's 6 ways. Number 7. QR codes. If you're not familiar with a QR code, I'll put one on the screen there. QR codes are like this square, goofy looking like barcode. But guess what? You can create a barcode for free. And I have a video here on YouTube. As a matter of fact, I'll put a link to that video down below in the description. You can create a QR code that links, once it's snapped and it's taken by someone's smartphone at your event or downloaded onto their smartphone, you can link up your website and you can sell products through the QR code. Did you know that you could do that? So this is another way to monetize your food truck, because people that are at your event, as an example, if you have a barbecue food truck, and let's go back to the sauce thing, you have an amazing barbecue sauce and you have it bottled and you're selling it on Amazon. Guess what? You can link up a QR code. A person can scan it. They say, oh my God, Damien, this is amazing. This barbecue. Do you guys sell the barbecue sauce? We sure do. Scan my QR code. It'll take you right to my Amazon stop. Boom. You just sold more of your product. You're creating more revenue streams. QR code for your food truck. You can link it to anywhere you want. Oh, and by the way, if you link it up to your website, all that traffic, by the way, the customers keep going over to your website. All that website traffic is getting monetized. Every time someone goes there and Google throws an ad up, you make even more money. That's another way. Number 8, yes, donate some free stuff to charity. Why? Local events that you can get into that are charitable events, and you're going to do it for free. You're going to show up. There is nothing better than any free marketing when you show up to an event that you've done for free, and it's a charitable one, and there's hundreds of people, if not maybe a couple of thousand people, that see your truck. That is giving you free exposure in the community, and you're doing something good. It's a win-win, of course. But on the other hand, you're also getting exposure to several hundred people or a couple thousand. And you know what? Maybe there's like 20 of them that come up and say, hey, I hear you do catering. Can I get your card because I have an event next week? Donate and do charitable events as much as possible. By the way, running a food business, you can actually deduct all those charitable donations, including all of the food that you're giving away for free on your taxes. So donate and charity. Number 9, this may sound odd, but a lot of people have begun to do this, and I heard this in California. DoorDash and Uber Eats. If you were at a location, and that location you're doing it on a regular basis, guess what? A lot of food trucks are now tapping into the concept of Uber Eats and DoorDash because people within the community who can't make it to your food truck, but they know that Damien has his food truck out there on the corner this weekend and he love the tacos that he makes. They go onto DoorDash or go onto a delivery service, they'll come and pick it up at the food truck and deliver it. Now again, the margins might be a little bit smaller because of the fee that's involved with Uber Eats and DoorDash and the delivery service, don't get me wrong, but you gotta think long term. You're thinking in the concept that more and more people are going to have an opportunity to taste and try your food. If it's somebody who's a regular with you, they may have a house full of friends that have never heard of your food truck. But because Uber Eats and they delivered a big old batch of your barbecue, now they're going to come down there on the weekend because they just had some at their friend's house. They never even knew you were there. It's another way to think outside the box, guys, to make sure your product gets into as many hands and mouths as possible. That's the way you have to approach it. It's a marketing technique. Next up, number 10, a podcast. Believe it or not, let's go back for a moment. I actually turn all of my YouTube videos into podcasts. We have another stream of revenue because I get paid every time someone listens to my podcast. I have 3 podcasts. We have about 400 episodes, and little by little, gradually, they're expanding and having more and more people listen and find our podcast online. That actually pays me because I get additional revenue and ads also from my podcast. Now, do you have to learn podcasting and get all intense and spend all that time? No. You simply turn your YouTube videos into a podcast by downloading the audio and uploading it simply onto a podcast. You may have to edit a little bit here and there, but it's not a lot of time. But that generates additional ad revenue because of your food truck. Okay? We have right now, I think we've had nearly 60 or 70,000 downloads of our podcast, and I taught myself how to podcast because I do all this stuff. Do this stuff with my wife. So I had to learn how to do it. But 70,000 downloads has made us money. So also the last one, number 11, the bonus. I guess you can say the bonus because I said I'd give you 10, but here's 11. Free. Give something away for free. Now, Damien, how can I make money when I give something away for free? Here's what I mean. If you're at a food truck event and it's a family event and there's a lot of kids, what if you offered with the purchase of a free kids meal, you gave them something, or any meal that you've got, not necessarily a kid's meal, we're not turning into McDonald's or Burger King here, but if you give away a free kid, for any kid that comes up, they get a free bottle of water, they get a free soda, or a juice box, okay? But you're gonna sell another meal. There might be a family or a parent who would love to see that they get something for free. When you put your menu board out in front of your food truck, make sure one of the biggest words on the top of it is today only. All kids who order a meal get a free drink. We will not charge you. Guess what? Out of the 5 or 6 food trucks that are at that event and you're giving away free juice boxes, there's a good likelihood you're gonna do more business. So giving something away for free actually makes you money because that parent's gonna say, wow, you know what? I'm gonna get another extra hot dog then from him and I'll get some fries for little Johnny and we'll get a free drink. So you can get creative with that too. It doesn't necessarily have to be a beverage. Maybe it's a dessert. Maybe they spend $50 or $20 with you, they all get free ice cream or a scoop of ice cream or something. But thinking outside the box, the idea again is to turn over as many plates as possible and to get more people to try your food. So this is your food truck. Those are 11 ways that you can actually make money with it. And many of them, like I said, may be outside the box, but setting these up may take a little bit of time up front. But when it's done, they're gonna automate your bank and they're gonna automate your cash flow and they're gonna make you more money. Don't just think that your food truck has to sit in a spot on the side of the road and hope somebody drives by and buys your food. Start getting creative. There's a lot of ways that you can make money with your food truck. So how can I make money with my food truck and how can I make my food truck more profitable? That's 11 ways. If there's some other ways that you know that I don't, let me know down below in the comments. I'll see you guys on our next video.